So I hear that there is a lot of different CBD products on the market right now. What is the difference between those?
There are probably about 850 companies right now that are selling CBD products. The FDA, who's kind of been in a frenzy to figure out what's going on here, did an analysis about a year ago. They looked at 38 companies, and of the 38, only 4 of them had adequate amounts of CBD, and that is because the FDA does not regulate the supplement market. The way I'd like everybody to think about this is really equivalent to taking vitamin C, basically. You know, I like to use the analogy from when I was in elementary school. The pilgrims were coming over on the ships. They got scurvy because they realized that vitamin C was a necessary nutrient. Dr. Raphael Mechoulam from Israel, the father of cannabis research, who studied cannabis for 60 plus years. There are 25,000 studies and growing that have been going on for 30 to 40 years, realized that actually CBD coming from the hemp plant is a necessary nutrient in our bodies. This is not something that only old people or sick people should be taking. This is basically a necessary nutrient. I'd like to talk about for a second the difference between hemp and marijuana. This is akin to thinking about the citrus family of plants and the cannabis family of plants. The citrus family, think lime and lemon. The cannabis family of plants, think hemp and marijuana. These are 2 distinctly different plants. However, the reason that hemp is the way to go, and the easiest way to explain this, is that hemp is predominantly CBD with very little THC. Marijuana is the opposite. Marijuana is predominantly THC with very little CBD. And what that means in translation is that if you want to get high, you smoke marijuana. If you want to heal your body, you take CBD. Because what Dr. Raphael Mechoulam figured out with his staff at Hebrew University over 60 years is that we have something called the endocannabinoid system. And that system basically creates homeostasis or balance in all areas of the body. So the reason that it is having such a huge impact and why millions of people are taking it is because it is literally balancing the body.
Why is CBD so expensive?
I guess my response to that is that I actually don't think that CBD is expensive because I'm comparing it to all of the pharmaceutical medications that I've personally taken through the years. For example, when I was offered an antipsychotic about 2 years ago when I went to the pharmacy to pick it up, it was $2,600 a month. People talk about joint pain, Humira, that's $1,200 a month. So to me, if I tell somebody that CBD is going to cost them anywhere between $200 and $400, for example, really typically between around $200 a month, I personally don't understand why it's okay to spend $1,200 on a prescription drug that is toxic to the body, but that someone doesn't want to give a natural product a chance. But to me, once again, what is that expression? You can't put a price tag on your health.
And what is the recommended amount of CBD?
Science, basically, the science states that you need a minimum of 50 milligrams of CBD a day, basically for the rest of your life. Think about taking vitamin C, think about taking vitamin D. However, there's something that I learned at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition called bioindividuality, and that relates to CBD in the fact that everybody's body is different, so everybody's body is going to react differently to CBD. So for example, I'm 5 feet tall, I weigh about 100 pounds. I currently take 240 milligrams of CBD. However, there's some people that can take 25 milligrams of CBD and feel perfectly fine. Just like you would take a psychiatric medication, for example, and you would have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for it to take effect, and you would have to play with the dosage, so to speak, with that prescription drug. You have to be willing and able to play with the amount that you take of CBD, and that it could really take between 2 and 3 months to take full effect.
Why do you start off with a lower amount and increase it over the time?
The reason is because of the fact that CBD is a bioaccumulator and it's sucking up toxins in your body. Those toxins ultimately become released from your fat cells into your bloodstream. When that happens, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You might have nausea. You might have headaches. You might have fatigue. These things are usually minor and they only last, between 5 and 10 days. However, the important thing to note is, I would say, slow and steady wins the race. You start slowly and you build up over time to the point where your symptoms subside and you feel good.
Why do you recommend people not going to a dispensary and buying marijuana CBD?
As I mentioned earlier, marijuana is predominantly, from nature, made of THC with very little CBD. The opposite holds true for hemp. So, from a basic standpoint, you're talking about a chemical compound in both of these plants. If there's an abundance of CBD in the hemp plant, there is no reason to take marijuana-derived CBD because it's the same molecule or the same compound, so to speak.
With CBD not being federally regulated, what are the proven tests that we know that it's working and that it's safe?
I spent 10 years, I built 3 companies in a 10-year period where I supported the pharmaceutical, biotech, and medical device companies internationally. I placed the professionals that ran the clinical trials. So I think that I'm definitely qualified to speak to the fact that, first off, it costs on average $3 to $4 billion to run a clinical trial. It takes between 10 and 15 years to run a clinical trial. And the only reason that whether the NIH or Big Pharma runs a clinical trial is if they're going to be able to patent a product that they can protect so that they can make gobs and gobs of money. The reason that hemp is not going to be tested in that way is really about money. That's the bottom line. Unless NIH decides to step up and spend the $4 billion, which I don't think is going to happen in our lifetime. I wish that it would, but I don't think it's going to happen. What I like to tell people is you can either wait for a clinical trial or you can try this natural product on your own that's going to cost about $200 a month and see for yourself. Because just like any other supplement, vitamin D, vitamin C, anything, there are no trials. There never will be any trials because they're supplements and they are not supported by the FDA. To be blunt, I find it troubling at many levels that people are suffering. I think Dr. Kelly Brogan, who saved my life, just put out a posting recently that 70% of our country is taking prescription drugs for chronic illness. The reality is, these drugs do not heal people. They are a Band-Aid at best, and they're causing major, major side effects at worst.